I'll never forget the moment that broke something inside me. I was driving home late one evening, the streetlights casting long shadows across the dashboard, when I saw them through the window of a cafe. My heart froze. My wife, my partner of 8 years, was wrapped in another man's arms. They weren't whispering. They were laughing, leaning into each other in a way I had only ever imagined us doing. The smell of coffee and baked pastries filled the air around them, but I couldn't breathe. My stomach turned. My hands shook on the steering wheel. I thought our marriage was over right then, even before I had confronted her. The signs had been there, subtle at first, but I was too blind, or maybe too willing, to see them. She started coming home later from work, claiming extra meetings or sudden overtime. Her phone became a secret I wasn't allowed to touch. Sometimes she would stare at it, laugh softly, and then quickly switch screens when I entered the room. I'd catch fleeting expressions, an eyebrow raise at a text, a small smirk, a glance full of something I didn't understand. I questioned myself. Maybe I was overthinking. Maybe I was imagining things. But doubt is a cruel companion. It gnaws at you in the quiet moments. I remember sitting alone at our kitchen table one night, the house dark except for the soft hum of the refrigerator, staring at her abandoned mug. I could almost hear her voice, almost see her smiling at someone else, and I hated myself for imagining it, but also feared it was true. The first concrete proof came unexpectedly. She left her tablet on the couch, unlocked, while she stepped into the bedroom. Curiosity and panic overcame me. I didn't want to believe what I found, but my fingers betrayed me, opening a string of messages that confirmed every fear I'd tried to suppress. That they were affectionate words, inside jokes I didn't know existed, plans made in secret. I felt my chest tighten, the air in the room heavy. Every laugh we had shared, every gentle touch, every late-night conversation, it all felt tainted now, as if it had been rehearsed while she hid another life. I confronted her that night, voice low, trembling, trying to sound calm. "Is this true?" I asked, holding the tablet like it was evidence from a crime scene. She froze, then looked at me with eyes I didn't recognize, guilty, ashamed, but also sorrowful. I didn't mean for it to happen," she said. "It just happened." Her words were both a confession and a plea. I wanted to yell, to scream, to make her feel the pain she had caused me, but I couldn't. I just sat there, shaking, listening to her half-explanations and poorly chosen words, knowing it could never undo what I had seen. The days that followed were a blur of sleepless nights and stifled conversations. Memories of our life together, our honeymoon, lazy Sunday mornings, the quiet comfort of shared routines, stung like lies. I questioned everything. Had she ever loved me? Or had I just been a convenient shadow to someone else's light? I felt rage, heartbreak, confusion, all swirling into a storm that I couldn't escape. Yet, beneath the pain, a strange clarity began to emerge. I realized that staying in anger, begging for explanations, or pleading for love that had been divided would destroy me more than it would punish her. I needed to reclaim myself, to remember who I was outside the shadow of betrayal. Confrontation came again, this time quieter, more controlled. I told her, "I can't stay in this. I loved you, but I can't compete with someone who isn't me." There was no shouting, no dramatic accusations, just a raw honesty that left us both trembling. She tried to reach for my hand, to plead for forgiveness, but I pulled back, not out of spite, but because I finally understood that my life, my peace, couldn't be held hostage by someone else's choices. Walking away was the hardest thing I've ever done. Our house, our routines, the little echoes of laughter and love, I left them all behind, carrying only lessons and the strength I had almost forgotten I possessed. The first few weeks were the hardest. Every familiar street corner, every shared coffee shop, every song on the radio reminded me of what I had lost. But slowly, I began to feel the lightness of breathing again, of living again, not for her, not for anyone else, but for me. Months later, I still remember the moment I realized I was truly free. I was alone in the living room, music playing softly, and I laughed, not out of happiness or joy, but out of relief. I had survived heartbreak, betrayal, and humiliation. I had been shown fragility of love, yes, but also the resilience of self. Seeing her with another man was devastating, and part of me will always carry that pain. But in that devastation, I found my power. I discovered that my life, my worth, and my happiness do not depend on someone who cannot honor them. Betrayal had shattered what I had known, but it also gave me the chance to rebuild, stronger, wiser, and unafraid to stand alone.